Yeah. So, good morning, one and all. On behalf of MHA School of Architecture Planning, I, Dr. Snigdha Chaudhary, welcome you all to the day 3 of the FDP. Today, first session focuses on literature review, bibliometric analysis, research mapping by Dr. Shalin Singhal. Sir is a distinguished academician, researcher, sustainability expert, currently serving as a professor at Terry School of Advanced Studies. He is a fellow of the Higher Education Academy, UK, and has also served as a visiting professor at Yale University, reflecting his significant international academic contributions. Dr. Singhal has held several prestigious leadership positions, including Director of the Immersion of the Center of Excellence and Sustainability Studies, where he focused on the knowledge co-production approaches to address complex sustainability challenges. He also served as the Dean of Terry School of Advanced Studies from 2020 to 2024, contributing extensively to academic leadership and institutional development. Prior to this, he worked as a lecturer also in the sustainability design at the University of UK, gaining valuable international teaching and research experience. So with over 27 years of expertise in spanning research, consulting, teaching, and academic administration in both India and United Kingdom, Dr. Singhal has made a substantial contributions in the areas of sustainability, environmental studies, design, interdisciplinary research. His work emphasis on innovation, collaboration, learning, and sustainable development process practices. He contributes to inspire researchers, academicians, and professionals through the impactful academic journey and extensive researchers in higher educations and sustainability studies. So, sir, I invite you to kindly take over the proceedings. First, if you want to present over there. This first slide.
You, right? Thank you. Thank you, Dr. And planning to share some of my thoughts on this very important topic, which has been titled as a blueprint to breakthrough. So just very quickly, this is your third day, right? Yeah. So what do you understand? Just very quick responses, and let's keep it very interactive. That will be useful for you. Any questions you can raise, any suggestions that come to your mind, please raise it in between as well, so that we make best use of this, let's say 1.5 to 2 hours. So my first question to you is, what so far do you see as a distinction between these two keywords, blueprint to breakthrough, in your domain? And this is not necessary from what you have discussed in the last 2 days, but generally I understand most of you come from some experience in the domain of architecture and related domains, and also you have exposure to research as well. So what do you understand? So mic ki zarurat nahi padegi for the participants. I think that's fine. Otherwise, please just give me some, whatever your understanding on the distinction of these two keywords, blueprint to breakthrough, or blueprint and breakthrough. What is the difference between this?
Maybe we can relate it with from inception to execution, like the conceptualization of the project or a research or a theme, and then its final or implementation on ground, on field, or on paper at least.
So blueprint may refer to the planning and design, and then breakthrough leading to its implementation.
Yes.
Okay, anybody else? Yes, please.
So blueprint may be called as a kind of a roadmap or the correct process from say start and intermediate to the end result. So how do we break through from the inception to the end? So it's a kind of roadmap, the process which we follow in case of any research. So that is what I think, a blueprint.
So most of us are already familiar with the keyword blueprint. So elaborate more on what is your understanding of breakthrough. We got 2 responses, which is linking blueprint to breakthrough, but more on breakthrough. Any responses? Yes. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Breakthrough is
Yes.
overcoming the obstacle.
Overcoming obstacles. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So maybe a breakthrough, when we start a research, we have a little vague idea, and when we come across and find the most suitable methodology, and then the correct say quantitative or the qualitative analysis for our particular research. So that is a breakthrough point. So we can get the expected outcome from the thought that came to us in the
that for.
yes.
Okay. Yes. Excellent.
Thank you, sir. So I think breakthroughs are usually sudden, crucial discoveries that we can make during a process. So when I look at it, blueprint is a planned scheme of execution, and a breakthrough is something which you find by incidents, which takes your blueprint forward and possibly gives it more meaning and gives it more structure.
Okay.
Sir, I feel that breakthrough is like proving our own hypothesis, what we started with, the conceptual idea, what we started with, and then now we are getting the breakthrough. Means it's not all of a sudden, it's what we wanted to achieve, and now we are going to get it.
Okay, let's just come back to, since my keyword and scope, Snigdha had given me to focus on literature review. So let's look at how does literature also throw some light on breakthrough particularly, right? So look at this, which was published in, it's a very different discipline that we are looking at now. And this is basically, they refer it as a breakthrough compass. And that actually was published by John Elkington in 2017. Title of this article was Saving the Planet from Ecological Disaster is a 12 trillion opportunity. And it was published in Harvard Business Review. What you notice from here is that it is also the impact that it can create. It may not necessarily be translation of your conceptual thought into its implementation. It is also considered, so you can have a business as usual, and you can have a breakthrough. Breakdown. If you are moving from 0x to 100x with business as usual scenario, it may also result into a breakdown. You move from billion to millions. So this is where it is that for the negatively impact and the positive impact that it can create, ranging from millions to billions, is something that may be referred as a breakthrough in any discipline, in any domain. So that means, what is it that we are creating? Now, in this case, he brought attention to areas which require or which can actually create this kind of huge impact. And the sectors that he is referring to are cities, energy and material, food and agriculture, and health and well-being. At least if you notice, which are the key sectors out of this that relate to our own architectural domain and architecture and related domain? Out of this? Mostly all, right? Very interesting. So that means at least I can see cities, energy and material, most of them. So that means we are the discipline or the domain which we are associated with may also has the potential of that breakthrough, right? So it is not limited for us to translate our ideas into a implementation plan, converting that into a product. It may be much more beyond that, which depends on the scale of impact it can create. So that's, if you look at that, अब ये करेंगे कैसे? So let's look at quickly what are the few definitions that are being referred as research, because we are dealing with this topic on research. We are also trying to associate it with our own discipline. I've just given you a background of what a breakthrough may mean. We come back to our current scope, which is research. So if you can read, please.
Research is fundamental to advances in human society. Systematic investigative process employed to increase or revise current knowledge by discovering new facts. Vikas. Fundamental and then systematic investigative process.
Discussion on the breakthrough kind of, right? And systematic. Okay, next please.
Performing a methodological study to prove a hypothesis or answer a specific question.
Which is what you were referring earlier,
Yes.
right? This is an approach towards that. And
Careful study that is done to find and report new knowledge about something, the activity of getting information about a subject.
okay, and what do you think? Your name? Your name?
Survahan Raskumar.
Third bullet. All of you can see
Methodical
from here.
study and hypothesis is the keyword that I see in the third line.
So this is a methodical study.
Yes.
Okay. And please continue with the fourth one.
In the fourth one, it's about careful study that is done to find and report new knowledge about something, the activity of getting information about a subject. So it's again about a study. I noticed the careful study of something, a report, or finding a knowledge in what is actually studying or the activity. Yes.
So new maybe is the, okay, next one.
The next one is the diligent and systematic inquiry or investigation into a subject in order to discover or revise the facts, theories, and applications.
Tavishi.
Last.
Research means a systematic inquiry, including research development, testing, analysis, and evaluation, designed to develop or contribute to generalizable knowledge by describing, explaining, interpreting, predicting, or posing new questions about a phenomena under study.
Sorry, you have to keep moving the camera, right? So you notice very complex one, the last one, right? Multiple keywords here and a very complex definition. But let's look at this definition, and if you can also highlight some of the keywords that you notice here.
The last one, systematic inquiry, testing, analysis, and generalizable knowledge. So these are the key things.
So the last definition is actually defining the research, but also giving you multiple steps that are essential for, let's say, achieving a good research, right? And okay, generalizable knowledge, any example that you notice from your research areas so far? Any example of what it means by generalizable knowledge? Mic is there on that table. You can take all. Example of generalizable knowledge from our discipline of architecture.
So from which we can make some conclusions which can be applied to other situations, like generalization would
Example.
mean that.
Yes.
Like, sir, when we try to develop a relationship between two different entities, maybe social infrastructure and to the residents or neighborhood, we can describe that the existence of the green space can have multiple impact on the neighborhood, maybe in terms of health benefits of its inhabitants, maybe the environment of that neighborhood, maybe the demand of in that neighborhood, or maybe the property prices in that neighborhood. So these can be different interpretations from the benefits from some micro area of that neighborhood.
That let's say we do something with the green infrastructure, which is examined through that neighborhood, but is ultimately leading to let's say a proforma or a algorithm which can be applied to any neighborhood. Could be one way to interpret generalizable knowledge, right? Okay, yes. Go ahead.
Sir, I was almost saying the same thing, that generalizable knowledge, if we relate it to the layman terms, general people also know that we require. Yes, sir, I'm giving that. So general people also know that they require space for walking. They require the playgrounds for the children, but they do not know how much wide the footpath should be or how much big the playground should be. So that is the knowledge of the experts to be provided. So by adding our expert domain to this generalizable knowledge of the people, that they know that basic thing should be there, how much, when and where they are not aware of. So this is the domain of the experts to provide it in the required and the maybe manageable quantity to the people.
And our hypothesis here is that the research may assist in reaching to that generalizable knowledge, right? Just give me for my understanding, how many of you are registered in a PhD program? Okay. And do you foresee that your research may also lead to a generalizable knowledge?
Yeah.
It may add on to that. Okay, very interesting. Next week. Okay, so I got your introduction with respect to the context that we are dealing with, that most of you, and she gave me the background that those who are attending online as well as here are either PhD scholars enrolled in a PhD program, have an interest or into the research, are faculty members who are undertaking research, and so on, right? So let's just look at how does therefore architectural related research that is undergoing. And if we look at either we are trying to decode the human to built environment relationship to different sub themes, or we are decoding the complex, we are decoding this, let's say, complex phenomena of human to built environment relationship through multiple ways, such as experimental ways, historical perspective, socio-cultural interpretive approaches, and simulation studies. Do you link to any of these, let's say, ways to your ongoing research, ongoing doctoral research? Anybody? Your ongoing doctoral research, is it linking to any of this? This is not a comprehensive list, but experimental ways, historical perspective is what your research is about, right? And what are you looking at?
Sir, my relates to urban legibility, correlating urban legibility with the development control norms and making it feasible for the people with the help of that. So my research may relate with the interpretive approaches in terms of socio-cultural environment. So by knowing the people, by looking at how do they move, how do they navigate in the urban environment. So I think this very well relates with that.
Because you are dealing with some variable which may have the output variable as impact on the people, right? Yes. Okay. And yes.
Sir, actually, my research has to do with the historical period.
Yes.
However, I see that because I am also trying to understand from a historical perspective, the human built environmental relationship, like why were they building that way is one of the queries. So the time frame is of the past, but many of the questions that we solve for today are being done for a particular time period in the past.
Okay, wonderful. It may also assist architecture related research, may assist us in deepening the appreciation of relating to present environment. What is happening in the current context? It may help us in that. It may lead to a meaningful architecture, which you were talking earlier, that a good blueprint and its implementation leading to a meaningful architecture. Meaningful always should have a delta change beyond the current and the past. It may also highlight the potential or the scope for interdisciplinarity. And what that exactly means is that you may draw strategies and tactics from other disciplines also beyond architecture and built environment. Any examples of what it means? Other disciplines, that we are drawing some strategies and tactics from other disciplines. Any example?
So for example, if I'm doing research in water supply or some infrastructure related aspect, it's not related to my current doctoral study, but I'm just taking an example in the urban context. So if we are taking a project related to water supply or something, so we may have to go for maybe water quality, water testing, or something qualitative aspects of water, but we will be remaining in our legitimate domain of architecture only, and we will be maybe liaising with other experts, other disciplines for the qualitative aspects, maybe for the testing of the water or its
The scientific
some aspect.
dimensions of water
Yes.
quality parameters.
It doesn't mean that we will be become scientists ourselves. We will be remain in our legitimate domain, but yes, we will be liaising with those disciplines to know those qualitative aspects which are required for our domain of working.
Okay, just any example of how do you draw strategies or tactics from other discipline? Not only exposure to, but drawing tactics or strategies from other discipline. Let's say he gave the example of water quality testing.
Yes, sir. What I have one more example related to infrastructure planning. So, in terms of mega industrial planning, what is happening in our country? So, I am doing one of the research on industrial corridor development and its impact on agriculture. So, one is drawing strategies and tactics from these, vast policy and looking its impact on agriculture. So, in that, I am looking all those, agricultural parameters and the impacts on these indicators through these mega industrial plannings. So I'm still.
So what's interesting here is that we need to get deeper into what it means by drawing strategies and tactics for research. Is that how water quality analysis, what are the statistical methods to analyze water quality samples, right? Can we draw something from there for our own data to be analyzed? When we are looking at, you gave example of
industrial corridors.
Industrial corridor, planning for industrial
Planning
corridors, right?
for industrial.
Important is what kind of data is being gathered to analyze or even simulate what kind of development should come. What kind of techniques are being used in those other disciplines? Any other example of very different disciplines that you notice? It is important because if you are drawing attention to those disciplines as well, you will make some effort to get into those disciplines as well. Yes.
So again, I think the interdisciplinarity correlates with the kind of researches we are doing. So I find similarities or interdisciplinarity with social sciences, geography, especially when I am trying to analyze the landscape. So I have to actually look at how geography has altered and what are the ways in which geographers actually look at the phenomena of cultural geography. So I have tried to identify those and apply. There is also
very important is for all of you and those who are interested in taking your research forward is to be particularly focusing not only exposure to the other discipline and the nuances of the dimensions of other discipline, not that only. That's the starting point, right? That still is a cousin brother syndrome. You have to get deeper into how these, you said cultural what?
geography.
How cultural geography, what are the evidences of cultural geography and how these evidences are being analyzed to draw inferences. What can be the qualitative methods? What can be the quantitative methods to analyze and draw inferences? And then once you have understood the techniques used in that discipline, can you draw parallel to what your area is? I'm drawing your attention to this, that you must also look into how other disciplines are analyzing their own phenomena as well. And that can give you some very interesting insights. Of course, how can that be adapted to your own research inquiry, right? So therefore, it is not limited that you are, when it comes to literature, that you are limiting your literature review portfolio to, let's say, architecture, built environment, planning, project management, only related to these disciplines, right? Which are very closely related. You might get something from the medical science as well, right? You might get something from defense as well. So, and then of course it is helping us in contributing to the knowledge for that built environment. We all look at that. And some of this, if it is taking in that context, may lead to potential breakthrough, right? That's not as an expectation at the school level. That is not even the expectation at the sector or the discipline level in which we are in architecture or built environment. We had not been even thinking in that direction. Can it also create or contribute to a breakthrough scenario, right? Therefore, it is important, first of all, to understand what a breakthrough may mean, right? Okay. Some of the potential themes which are being used by scholars, research scholars across the globe relate to building usability. How do you enhance and increase the efficiency, building performance, building material optimization, substitution, and focusing on efficiency? How do you integrate these emerging techniques or tech integration such as AI, ML, sensors, digital twinning, etc.? How can these be incorporated into the broader built environment and, let's say, even the architecture and related disciplines as well? Then project management systems thinking relating to that, planning of and planning for the built environment. And it is, what does it mean by planning of and for? Or let's say, what do you understand by architecture of and for sustainability? Okay, I'll come back to that. Built environment and cities in the special context, various special areas, let's say, if it is retrofitting or greenfield development, brownfield development, etc. How do you look at unbuilt environment efficiency? Like we just discussed green infrastructure, for example. Historical and contemporary dimensions, your thesis relates to that. How do you look into behavioral context of various markets associated with architecture and built environment, such as the developers market, investors market, and occupiers market, and several other thematics which may contribute to the existing body of knowledge. So that's an essential part that we are targeting, that it has to contribute to the existing body of knowledge. Over time, this is how the architectural research has broadly, this is a very broad interpretation, also coming out from the literature, that it has ranged initially in 50s, focusing on climate and structural studies, to socio-behavioral issues and design methods in 60s, 70s, focusing on energy conservation. That was a period when a major emphasis on energy conservation, then leading to deconstruction implications. And we are in that, let's say, decades where we are focusing on sustainability, and now going forward also on technological integration for sustainability. Any examples of what this means? An example of, you notice, technology integration, which is assisting our pathway to sustainability in today's time, 2026.
Like integration with the integrated command and control centers, especially after the time of COVID, the provision and control of these services, especially the medical facilities, the ambulances, and other infrastructure, it was being controlled by the integrated command and control centers. These centers were working earlier also before COVID, but they were working into some specific aspects only, like only for transport maybe, or only for the execution and running of metro trains. But now they are being related with all other urban services as well. I think it's a very good example of advancement.
Interesting. That means you are talking of, let's say, around 2 to 3 years ago, what started as, let's say, smart cities mission and establishment of these command and control centers across selected cities, right?
Yes, sir.
And what any examples of what is happening currently in this, let's say, last 12 to 15 months, which is more, let's say, elaboration of AI and ML. Automated systems. Okay.
Integrated management systems.
And any example for that? Can you elaborate?
That is an old one because building integrated system is something else which is being governed in whole building. But one example, it is old that like integrating the photovoltaic cells also. It is the technology, but yes, it is. I mean, adding to the sustainability also.
BIPV kind of.
Yes, yes, building integrated photovoltaic. Yes.
There is also something called circular economy where we are trying to reuse demolition and construction waste.
Yes. And
These are the
do you see, let's say in today's context, I'm saying 2025 onwards, tech assisting us in circularity?
in some ways, yes. Although I think in terms of circularity, we are yet to actually figure out how to utilize waste. That's, I think, is one of the gaps, because most of the times it is getting the reuse is actually not really structural. It is
So
not
we are yet
structural
to
use.
harness the potential of these emerging techniques as well. Let's say AI and ML into the circularity dimensions, right? That's what we can, let's say, draw an inference from that. That means the discipline which we are in is yet to explore the potential of that. And we are talking to researchers, right? Research means you are inquisitive about knowing more. So I'm just drawing again your attention to those who are into your doctoral research. And how many of you are in, let's say, middle of your doctoral research? Or in a very advanced stage? Advanced stage or middle? Okay, that is not a good question to ask to a doctoral student. But anyway, so what I'm saying is, if you are in the middle, or that means you will be spending another couple of months, right? By the time you end your research, you have to be aware and alert on what the latest techniques are happening in any other domain, and what is the potential, whether that is part of your one of the objective or not, but you need to be aware what is the potential for such integration. Yes, can you read it? The questions, anybody from the audience?
Middle. She is in the middle of the PhD.
Thank you, Vaishali. The same comment for you as well is that those who are in the middle, even at the advanced stages, it is important that you are aware of the current techniques with which any other disciplines are already integrating. So you will notice that most of the startups which are in this advanced domain of AI and ML, they are already into the business of application of these techniques into multiple sectors, whether it is healthcare or finance, etc., etc. So my comment or suggestion is that those which are into the architecture and built environment domain, which is considered to be one of the most prominent one as far as its footprint is concerned, and she just said circularity, right, should also be well exposed to that domain as well. But for that, it will require your homework, right? You will have to put those extra efforts and see, notice. And these extra efforts in today's time, again, do not take much time to get exposed to, right? Because it will then be the prompt that you give, again, using AI, the prompt that you give on, what's your area of research?
So my area of research is I'm trying to develop a relationship and the impact of the urban green spaces on the property prices with the city of Noida. Vikas.
So today afternoon, after the session, maybe Vikas will search using the Gemini or Chat GPT. Is that how do you, sorry, what I said, say that again.
My topic is framework for assessing the impact of neighborhood green spaces on the prices of residential properties. A case study of Noida.
Okay, so green areas and let's say impact on real estate values, right? And then he will ask Gemini what can be newer ways to analyze this. What kind of data sets are being used globally to analyze these two variables? So one variable is any changes that you bring in the green infrastructure, and then your impact variable is impact on the real estate, right? And so far, Vikas is constrained with the kind of data that he has to use in the current context. But he wants to get exposed to what are other data sets and techniques being used for analyzing the similar two variables: changes in grid infrastructure and impact on real estate values. Right? And that will be a starting point for him. And then he gets deeper using again Gemini itself on the various methodological techniques and how AI and ML can be integrated into such research inquiry as well. He will keep it to himself, not for his DRC to be exposed for strategic reasons, but he need to be exposed to that because he knows the next 1 year, 2 years, you will be graduating. So one of the, let's say your examiner may have this interest once he have examined your entire thesis to get your response on how well read or well aware you are. That is also one of the question that we keep in mind towards the end of your defense. And I would assume that by the time you will be graduating or defending your thesis, this already would have been a very major area. And therefore, it is important that you all are also exposed to that as well, whether you like it or not. Okay. If there are any questions or comments in between, please keep raising your hands. And also same for the online participants as well. Just now, therefore, how do you do this actually? How do you look into such kind of research approaches? And therefore, these are just some potential research methods and techniques. Mike, kiske paas hai? So can you read it? Just a listing of, yes. Yes, please.
What exactly would you like me to?
Just read the various methods and techniques listed under these boxes.
State of environment, cause and impact relationships, deductive, inductive, which is new theory.
So
Then
the
the
examples
second
that we
is
discussed just
types and
now,
approaches.
few examples that we discussed relate to any of these keywords in the boxes? Cause and impact. Vikas just mentioned that cause is, let's say, changes in the green infrastructure, and the impact is on real estate values, for example, right? Any of you might be just looking at the state of environment, how the environment here will relate to the phenomena that you are examining. What's your thesis on?
It's on urban legibility and its relation.
Yes, and how the phenomena of urban legibility is unfolding over time. It's something that you will notice. He may, sorry, your name?
Sandeep.
Sandeep may also therefore be interested to identify what are the factors that influence this unfolding of urban legibility. What are the dimensions that assist various stakeholders in comprehending urban legibility? So urban legibility for a resident could be differently perceived as compared to those who are in the domain of the supply. or creating that or improving that legibility itself, right? Sandeep may have some limited scope for his comprehension of urban legibility as of now, as far as the doctoral thesis is concerned, but it does not remain so. Various researchers and scholars are examining the same phenomena of urban legibility through multiple lenses. What are these different lenses? ये कैसे पता करेंगे? Where do you come from? Where do you know? How do you know? Sorry, if you can respond on this question. How do you know what are the different lenses by which various scholars are examining the same phenomena of urban legibility?
So by conducting secondary research.
Literature, right? Literature itself will help Sandeep to identify what are the various lenses from which different scholars, different schools are examining the same phenomena of urban legibility. Why is it important for Sandeep to know? Because he can defend more strongly his scope that he is limiting to, right? That he is aware of all the various lenses from which urban legibility can be examined. However, his one paragraph of limitations and scope in his thesis will be very important, therefore. That despite of all these dimensions, the scope of this thesis is limited to this dimension only. That limitation and scope should again relate back to your research inquiry, which is your research question. Right? So this is how you have to take benefit. To alert me when we are close to them. Yes. Okay. Can you continue with the second set of
Comparative, theoretical, qualitative.
from this first list of set of keywords, which one do you think is assisting us, may assist us towards breakthrough? Right? So far, do any of you think that your thesis is deductive or inductive? Have you thought on that?
Since this industrial corridor development or industrial development, it is a set tool for regional planning or to have more, prolific regional planning or regional development in any region. But if you look at the example of China and Japan, they had did it very, very good on the ground development. They did their SEZ and all stuff, but we have just copied few of the details of that. But if we look at the implementation of this SEZ and industrial and aligning the industrial corridor along the SEZ, so somehow we have failed in that. So my hypothesis is completely opposite of that. So due to the development of industrial corridor, since it's already there on ground since 2008, so I have taken hypothesis that due to development of this industrial corridor, there will be wide gaps between urban and rural areas. So there will be more and more rural-urban dichotomy.
So the question to you again, yes, your name?
Yogesh.
Yogesh, what your thesis or your research inquiry that you mentioned just now is coming closer to being a deductive research or inductive research?
Deductive, sir. Because I'm taking one hypothesis and I'm trying to, prove that only.
Okay. So inductive is something that may assist us, as he rightly identified, towards a new theory may assist us in transitioning towards that pathway of breakthrough, right? So while you are confirmed regarding your thesis being in a deductive domain of research, be aware, again, use AI to at least give you that exposure. How within that domain itself, what could have been done to get towards an inductive approach.
Sir, can we have the fear of being very open-ended in the inductive type of research? Means can the research be very open-ended if we go for an inductive kind of research? Means we keep on looking
Research
for.
ideally,
Yes, sir. Like if we
research,
keep on looking for new theories to come and then we will keep on applying them. So will it not give an open-ended kind of thing to us, to our research?
this is not application of new theories.
Okay,
This is creation of new theories.
all right.
Whether your research can even create new theory, right? So far, what I'm hearing is you have a hypothesis which you are testing, which comes closer to being a deductive. You are testing a theory.
Yes, sir.
You have a theory that any changes in green infrastructure can create a positive or a negative impact on real estate values. This is an existing theory and you are testing that in your environment, right? So the question is whether your thesis can also get towards being an inductive research, which means it can lead to new theory, is what we are discussing.
It may happen.
Yes, it may happen if you are very open-minded when it comes to, again, your literature review. So I'll keep drawing your attention on the significance of literature again and again, right? It can also assist. And this is also one very important area for you to simultaneously keep getting exposed to what can be or what could have been an inductive approach for the same thesis which I am doing, even though that you will continue with the current scope till the end, right? To satisfy the DRC and the school, right? That's the minimum objective for you to achieve towards the end. But at the same time, keeping in mind and getting exposure from the literature itself, what would have been or could have been an inductive approach. Is that point understood? Let's look at a researcher development framework. All of you, me, all of us online as well are researchers, right? How a better research can be, hypothesis is very clear and simple. Good quality research is dependent on the researcher, right? And therefore it is important. What is the researcher development framework? And you will notice here that, and this is something which was published in 2010 by CRAC, Career Research and Advisory Center Limited, and they are focusing on the 4 domains, A, B, C, D. Domain A is knowledge and intellectual abilities of the researcher. Now we are talking of the researcher, you, right? The second domain is personal effectiveness, how effective you are as a researcher. You may be very effective as a practitioner. Now we are talking to with a very specific scope of a good quality research coming out, or you get contributing to a better quality output, research outputs, right? Third is research governance and organization, where you are hosted, and the governance relating to research. What is the ecosystem? How is the ecosystem assisting? This FDP is one part of that, right? And the fourth is engagement, influence, and impact. As a researcher, how well you are engaging. And then once you have done your research or in the process of your research, influencing the positivity in that particular sector and domain and creating any kind of impact. Any examples on what could be a good quality engagement of a researcher? How do I say that? Somebody else said Tavishi is a good quality researcher. Sorry, the communication from Tavishi is of a good quality as a researcher as compared to Sandeep. Sandeep. What do you think can be a good quality communication by a researcher?
Sir, since we plan, design, or research for the society, for the humans, so I think the targeted audience or targeted stakeholders to whom we have to be engaged with.
So the focus here, audience as far as concerned, someone who can assess your quality of communication, quality of research communication. That means we are not targeting the impacted beneficiaries only. We are not targeting the lay person, right? We are targeting someone who is evaluating the quality of research communication coming from Sandeep versus Tavishi. How to evaluate that? Both of you are writing emails to me, for example. Which one I am likely to respond first will depend on your quality of communication.
Yes.
So what is it that you will ensure in your current stage of, let's say, doctoral research itself? What stage you are in? Yet to start. You are lucky. Okay.
Sir, I think depending upon the stage, the communication should be right as per the process of the ongoing work, correlating with the what was targeted in terms of research questions, objectives, how much results have been achieved with, and what are the future plans. So that entire picture.
So that means we are target. Let's set the target audience, whom the communication is being made. Let's say Sandeep identified these are the most leading scholarly groups who are focusing on legibility, urban legibility in the world. Any?
Sir, the experts may be the urban planners or the maybe people working for the municipal organizations, city managers.
Now we are targeting. Now Sandeep is targeting specific organizations who are leading globally in the domain of urban legibility. Any examples?
Sir, maybe the transport organizations like Transport Research Laboratory UK.
Name of organizations.
The TRL UK.
Sorry?
Transport Research Laboratory, TRL UK.
Okay. So this is a fundamental question all the researchers should know. Today itself, during the lunch break, please use Gemini to find out leading scholarly groups in your domain worldwide.
Yes. So another could be
8 minutes only.
Yes, sir.
Once you have identified that institution, and let's say Sandeep is writing an email to attract attention of the director of that institute, TRL, to his research, ongoing research. What should Sandeep ensure as a quality communication to attract the attention of the director, TRL?
So I think it should be very specific to the connections which I am looking for and the contribution which they can make into my research. They might not be interested whether I'll get a PhD or not, how much time I'll be taking.
So essentially the English of the matter, no. You have to generate evidences of intermittent outputs from your ongoing research.
Yes, sir. Potential outcomes maybe.
Which means, let's say Sandeep has made some conference presentations, had submitted some papers, had got some publications done, because we are talking of quality research communication. Then you have to establish and communicate evidences on your quality, which is not limited to what Sandeep is writing in your cover email. But more important is what evidences you have attached to draw my attention. And these evidences are not limited to Sandeep only. They have been presented and published XYZ location. That is how you establish the credibility of your communication to draw attention of that director, right? And this is an essential area, again, for all the researchers, whether you are into PhD program or faculty, that first identify the leading scholarly groups in your domain, then make efforts to communicate and connect with them. This is an important outreach of your research also, while you are targeting to get inputs from them. But you have to do a lot of homework before you make that quality communication to generate those evidences, right? Is understood? Okay. This is something which was published in 2010, and the same institution then went ahead and published the White Researcher Development Framework last year in 2025, again focusing and elaborating on some of the dimensions of a researcher's development framework. How you can develop and grow as a good quality researcher. And good quality researchers' output is not limited to scholarly journal articles only. But of course, as Sandeep said, what kind of impact you can create, etc., etc. But for all of that, you need to know what is it that you focus on as a researcher, right? That is what this particular, I'm trying to also identify some of the content from the literature itself. Very important from those who are actually into a PhD program, but also who are faculty supervising research, right? Many of you in the faculty are supervising research as well of your students, right? Let's say undergrad or master students, right? So this is very interesting part which establishes the distinction between a PG or a master's research versus a PhD research. And if you notice this, then there are 5 dimensions. This was published way back in 2004. And they are being referred as Dublin descriptors, which are establishing the contrast or the distinction between a master's and a doctoral thesis. What's your name? Varish. Varish or Varish?
Varish, V-A-R-I-S-H.
Varish, can you read? You have the access to that, right?
Yeah, I have.
So if you can read one by one the row.
Okay. Just the first column or entirely? Okay. So first is knowledge and understanding. For masters, it says provides a basic or opportunity for originality in developing or applying ideas, often in a research context.
Having the similar benchmarks even for our master students, but it will help us to even get exposed to what do we expect, what should we expect, even at a master's thesis level. And then what is there?
The next is for PhD. It says includes a systematic understanding of the field of study and mastery of the methods of research associated with that field.
So Varish, what do you think is the distinction between master's and PhD thesis on this dimension of knowledge and understanding?
I think at PhD level, it is expected to be more structured because systematic understanding is something that at master's level somebody would lack.
Okay. And is expected at a PhD level, right? Okay. What else in terms of?
The methods.
Yes.
I think methods is something that at master's level we are not equipped with. But as you go for PhD, I think that is also one of the reasons why you have coursework, because we need to get equipped with those tools and those methods for research.
It's the key. And that is the most essential part, right? That you are aware of multiple methods that could have been applied to examine the same cause and impact relationship, right? But you are choosing XYZ only. But you are aware of multiple other methods at the same time. All of this will provide you confidence within your DRCs. And the more you are exposed to multiple methods from multiple disciplines as well, as I said earlier, the better it will be, and it is an essential part. Not only for a doctoral research, but any research that you are conducting. And yes, continue, Sandeep. Varish.
Next is applying knowledge and understanding. So at master's level, it says problem solving abilities applied in new or unfamiliar environments within broader or multidisciplinary contexts.
Yes,
for PhD, ability to conceive, design, implement and adapt a substantial process of research with scholarly integrity. make a contribution that extends the frontier of knowledge by developing a substantial body of work, some of which merits national or international referred publications.
Scholarly integrity is one of the keyword. I don't have to get deeper into that, but it is very important to know what is a scholarly integrity, what are the pitfalls for scholarly integrity, and many a times we are already in a tendency of minimizing that scholarly integrity by ignorance as well. Any example of scholarly integrity, lack of scholarly integrity that you think?
I think in this point, when it says adopt a substantial process of research with scholarly integrity, it means that whenever we are trying to adopt a certain statement or process or anything that has been already done by some scholar or say the doctor from any part of the world, we are giving them their due credit. For anything that we are taking from their research, we are giving them the due credit with the substantial information that from which particular part.
Examples of
Use of AI is something that is we often see that students conducting research at bachelor's or master's level, they often take it very casually, where they just pick up references or let's say get their research work done through AI tools, and it doesn't get accounted for.
So let us be clear on that. Use of AI should not come under the context, under the specific scope of scholarly integrity. How you are using will be very important actually. I would say that expose all your students on using AI and accelerating their approaches, getting deeper into that. But how do you actually convert that into your output? That is where one has to be cautious. But here we are talking of any other examples? Plagiarism, okay. Again, we are talking of integrity, right? So you may conduct plagiarism, but it will get captured because we have tools now. Anything else which we are, let's say?
Of some of the reports, I'm talking about undergraduate.
No, let's talk about.
No, just an example where they have created those reports maybe through AI and all, and AI 0% error, 0%, yeah.
Right. I am talking here of scholarly integrity for a advanced researcher or a doctoral student as well. What kind of? Yes, please.
And
Giving the any reference from which we are taking based on board of.
Okay, so those are repeating actually.
Sorry.
Yes, I have got those points already. Proper citation. Yes, due credit to other scholars. And then you said plagiarism. What else for a doctoral candidate?
Bias surveys.
Very good. Very important actually. Your bias itself. So far, all of us are convinced changes in green infrastructure will create a positive impact on real estate values. This is a very strong bias. We may continue and end up our thesis with this bias itself. Right? What if there is literature available which is establishing it does not impact at all? And then it is putting some qualifiers for the specific settings, right? So as a scholar, you need to be very cautious on the bias which has already creeped into your approach. Especially when we are coming with so much of experience of practice in the field, which I can see most of us are, right?
Sir, once we used to have discussions among our thesis topics. So I was discussing with Vikas once that what if somebody says that the proximity to a metro station is more better for me rather than living near to a district park. So he might not like this district park, but the proximity of his house to the transport node. So in that sense, we may not find this reason obvious for him that no, the parks are increasing the prices. The price of the house near to the transport node may be higher than the price next to the park. So such outliers may also be found during our researches.
Yeah, that's fine. That these are various aspects that you are noticing during the phase of your research. We are talking of the scholarly integrity. How do you maintain integrity yourself for yourself while searching for such dimensions? Are there any other dimensions? How do you use AI actually to identify those dimensions? Hey, give me examples of research outputs establishing no impact, no relationship between urban green infrastructure and real estate values. Right? That will help us in minimizing our biasness towards that particular research inquiry. Is also equally important. Other than these are already tangible dimensions of plagiarism and credibility, credit to other scholars, which is very important. We are all aware of that, right? But these are other dimensions which also you need to be aware of.
Biasness could be in terms of a sample size. Not targeting the overall inclusive population, but targeting only those certain people who may have who could have provided me a skewed result which is in favor of me.
In any case, biasness cannot remain in sampling.
Yes.
It cannot. Because it is not Sandeep who is deciding the sample size. It is not Sandeep who is deciding the locations from where the sample has to be collected. No. Simple. Sandeep is dependent on the synthesis of XYZ 20 papers and the methodology that those scholars have adopted. And then he is devising his own methodology for sampling itself. If that is the case, then there cannot be a biasness in sampling. So you can use methodological approach to remove that. You may get away with, let's say, lack of attention of the DRC pointing out to some of your approaches to sampling initially, but that will not help. Later on, you will get stuck with your publication.
Yes, sir.
So don't worry too much about sampling. So very simple formula is get deeper into literature. Yes.
So sir, this also comes under this integrity part. If we are not taking the right kind of sample or taking biased samples or biased population for our survey. So does it come under the scholarly integrity part or not?
That's a gap in methodology itself. You may use your convenience for sampling. Not convenience sampling, but Sandeep's convenience. Okay, that can be also, it may not be lack of integrity, but it is a convenience that you are using actually. So I will catch you at any stage. It's convenience that you have drawn, right? So lack of integrity is content which is hidden and not being captured, and you as a scholar are aware of. What happens is when we are not even aware of, and that awareness also has to be enhanced through literature, which just an example that we said that there could be a possibility that there are factors coming from the literature which are establishing, or the scholarly literature which is establishing the lack of direct correlation between green infrastructure factors changes and real estate values. Any example of that? Do you foresee situations in which any changes in the green infrastructure has not been able to create an impact on the real estate value? Any example?
From the literature review that I have read about, say, more than 100 papers, I have seen that there is a particular demographic and also the geographic attributes that is associated with the relationship of the green spaces to the property prices. As soon as it goes out of the center core of the city, it goes to the fringe area or the suburb area, the impact diminishes. And impact of green spaces on the property prices, it diminishes or it almost vanishes. So that I have seen that there is a particular demographic profile of a neighborhood, also
If
the
you
geographic area.
improve the quality of green infrastructure in the suburbs,
Yes.
will it again impact the real estate value?
It may not have the same kind of impact as it has in the core city.
There will be impact, but it may, the degree may vary.
Yeah, the degree may vary, but it may also vanish. There is no impact. I have seen the case studies.
So a question for you to find out later on is that, can there be any typology of built environment which has no impact of green infrastructure, changes in green infrastructure?
Yes, I have. I have seen it in case of this neighborhood only. In the case of Delhi, I have seen that there are very highly congested areas in the East Delhi, and there used to be proper green spaces in a neighborhood highly congested, like Trilopuri and this area. And people, they wanted parking, but they don't want green spaces. So they have converted all those green spaces into a parking. So actually, it means that there is no demand of green spaces in that area. So whenever there is an impact on the price.
This is getting into the trade-off.
Yes, sir.
Green space versus parking. That's a trade-off. But let's say I give you equal amount of parking also, 2 parking per unit,
yes,
and green. Will it impact the real estate value?
Yes, sir.
That's the question, right? So we can find out, are there any built environment typologies which do not get affected at all by green infrastructure changes, right? It's just an example to
Yes, sir.
look at scholarly biasness here.
Takes away from what you're trying to say, but I think there is a difference, like, there's a Marxist theory, there's a difference between value and cost. And to look at, I think, for the greens from the perspective of real estate, maybe it's a good indicator to examine whether there is, because for example, in my perspective, where I live, I would like a local market close by rather than say a transportation node or a green space. So there definitely are other criteria, but and like we have this Mayawati's park, which is the Dalit Sthal. I don't think it has any great impact on the real estate value along the expressway. Similarly, there are bigger parks like Indraprastha Park in Delhi, which has no impact actually on the real estate, but they are bringing other values to the society.
So here the question was that we are not comparing one factor, green infrastructure, versus other factors influence on the real estate value. I'm using the word value, right? But we are keeping all other factors constant and only looking at whether there is no impact of green infrastructure, keeping all other factors constant. Right? That's the question actually here. You understood?
I understood the question. Like, I just thought that there are many more perspectives to explore.
Yes.
Within that particular question
No,
itself.
Vikas is interested only in green infrastructure.
So I understand, which is the hypothesis testing.
Yes.
And he may eventually reject that hypothesis also.
Yeah.
That
What we are discussing here is how do you minimize your own scholarly biasness? And this is very critical for most of you, which is also referred as, let's say, unlearning, most important. Right? We are all under this impression that greater is the urban legibility, more convenience to users, occupiers, isn't it? That's one of the hypotheses, right? Greater urban legibility contributes to occupiers market, right? And then his definition of urban legibility relates to, just very briefly, if you can explain.
Maybe sir, alignment of the built-up areas or alignment of pathways, configuration of buildings, the what do you call it?
What you can see.
Yes, sir, the overall enclosure, what is visible to us, which makes it easy to navigate within the area. So it increases the permeability of the space, of the built environment per se.
Permeability of the built environment.
Yes, sir. It makes the wayfinding easier.
Wayfinding easy.
Yes, sir.
Why?
By moving or navigating into the city.
Some visual access.
Yeah, visual access, the overall enclosure, overall human scale.
So there could be a scenario that none of this is required for your visual accesses. I can just use the app or most convenient, and that itself may contribute to my legibility as well, right? It can provide me the shortest path. It can provide me the most convenient path. It can provide me the most interesting path, right? So what I'm drawing your attention is you will have to make efforts to minimize your own scholarly biasness as well, which is much more difficult, right? For that, unlearning is required. How do you unlearn? Time, okay, that's fine. How do you unlearn? You said 1:15 is the lunch break, right? Oh, this is all question. Achha, from them, right? Okay. How do you unlearn? Well, you have some, let's say, around double figures of experience before joining the, let's say, the research agenda. And therefore, you have learned a lot already.
So again, give an example of.
Yes.
Not from this.
Any.
Yes. There is a great flute player, Harat Prasad Chaurasia. He holds the flute on the other side, not in the conventional way. Because when he went to his Guruji to learn, Guruji told that you have, so far, whatever you have learned is wrong. So by holding the flute in the right direction, you cannot learn. So he started learning from the other direction.
Unfortunately, you have no Guruji. You are in the control of your thesis, of your research. This leads to research projects also, and of course, doctoral thesis. How do you unlearn? Guruji to hai nahi.
Challenge your own beliefs.
Yes, you start from there, and then how do you unlearn? How do you unlearn your beliefs?
Be more mindful. Usually what happens is.
Tell me, give me more tangible steps to unlearn. Otherwise, all of these are synonyms. How do you become more mindful? अरे फिर वही synonym हो गया. How do you do that?
Identify people are opposing you and listening or reading their thoughts.
Okay. And how do you do that? How do you, from where do you identify those people and their thoughts? No. The only unlearning can happen is by reading. More deeper you get into literature, that is the only way for you to unlearn. The more you learn and read from the scholarly, well-established, peer-reviewed journal articles, only will help you in unlearning to what you know. Because most of it, what you know, are the gaps in practice, not gaps in research. For Vaishnavi, na? Vaishali. Tavishi, sorry. For Tavishi, who is yet to start, is that you are well exposed to the gaps in practice. Architecture, built environment, project management, planning, etc. These are all gaps in practice. You are yet to find out what is the gap in research. And there is a difference between that. And you will be spending, and most of the scholars I notice spend almost a year to just dealing with the gap in practice. Whereas the qualifying criteria for a thesis in case of doctoral research, I am going back again and again because many of the audiences that is to address your thesis, situate your thesis against a gap in research. That's the starting point, right? So you need to unlearn, and for that, get deeper into the literature as much as possible. That only will help you in unlearning. Okay, so I think we can skip on that. Varij has helped us in this. For scholars like Tavishi, who are yet to identify topic for research, and are there any others also in that stage? Yes. So can you read it? But we have less time, so I'll read it actually. So you are, what important is that how do you, topic that you decide, that will actually help you in almost saving 1 year, almost. I'm giving you a tangible output. The topic that you decide, the scope that you assist. Also, there is a literature informed hypothesis on that. And what Whisker says suggests that there are various stages for scholars to conceptualize the research focus. And how do you conceptualize that as far as the topic is concerned? You look into the title and subtitle. You identify the boundaries of research areas and the gaps in research by asking some fundamental basic questions, right? And those who are already in their, let's say, middle of your research or doctoral research can go back and look at who are the main theorists in the field, right? So I just gave a different question to you, to Sandeep earlier, who are the leading global scholars. But now we are referring to a research topic, who are the main theorists in that field. Are their theories, ideas, and hypotheses different? Again, from the literature, and why they are different is something that Tabishi will start getting into. Let's say your topic, any area of interest that you have identified, or you, what's your name? Lavditya. Any idea that you have in mind so far? And Tavishi?
It's a very broad topic as of now, related to the field of facade engineering.
Facade
engineering.
Facade engineering. Do you notice we just talked about researchers' biasness? Any biasness that you see in Tavishi's response so far? With these two keywords, engineering, right, itself is indicating a biasness, right? Or facade design itself may indicate a biasness, right? So we may start anywhere. But what you need to identify, Tavishi, to start with, and Lavaditya, who are the main theorists in that area? What are their theories? What is the difference or distinction? That's where you pitch your starting point. That will help you in saving almost 8 to 10 months of your struggling with your topic itself, right? Which we face, many of the scholars face. 5 minutes more, yeah. So as you continue with the identifying your topic and using literature again for that topic identification as well, you do something like a concept mapping, which often offers a visual approach to creating relationships among concepts, right? You start identifying from the literature itself, which are the key themes that are emerging as far as, let's say, urban legibility is concerned. What are the various dimensions which are coming from different papers relating to factors influencing urban legibility? Another cluster could be comprehension of urban legibility itself by various scholars. Another cluster of keywords from the literature could be various type of impacts it creates in different markets itself, right? Not limited to occupiers only. Once you have established that kind of visual approach, then you start identifying the cross-thematic changes or linkages between that, right? Comprehension of urban legibility, one style of comprehension, and another one particular sub-thematic of impact. What is the relationship between these? So you establish multiple relationships like that. This again is coming from one of the reference by Novak from Cornell University. And then you get deeper into critical reading. Reading a scholarly paper is one dimension. Critical reading is very, very important, which is what is, again, to get deeper into how to undertake a literature review. And for that, how to read critically is the first step. How to read a scholarly article will be the first step itself. Very quickly on critical reading is that you identify what is the argument that the authors are making, in what context, then get deeper into what are the methodological approaches that the authors have employed, what are the various interpretations that the scholars are making based on the results achieved. We do this on a regular basis. And then how does that helps me or my thesis and the research inquiry that I have established as a draft research inquiry so far, right? This will help you an early seminar presentation to your peer group itself. Let's say this 15 is your first round of peer group. To mention what that you are researching, why is that important, how will you go about this? That's a very standard approach. But at every time you will get direct response from your peer group. Here the peer group is not the theme, but that all of you are in the stage of or interested research scholars. And then identifying a topic for Lavaditya and Tavishi that in which you have a passion to keep going, but is also manageable within the limited time frame of the doctoral research, right? Because we start, many of times we notice that there's a very high passion for your topic itself. And one of the reasons was that you wanted to bring the change in the world because of your doctoral thesis. That is not required as part of your expected output. What is required is how do you bring and contribute to the new knowledge, and therefore your biasness towards the gap in practice should get minimized as fast as possible. Namaskar sir, how are you? So that is most important. How quickly you can minimize your biasness towards the gap in practice and get more deeper into the gap in research. Right? Is this clear? The difference or the distinction between the gap in research and the gap in practice. Okay, I think we can stop here and maybe take quick, if there are more quick questions, that we can open it for you for questions, and also the questions that are there in the, from the online audience.
Thank you, sir, for such an insightful, interactive, and enriching session on research methods and approaches. I'm sure the participants gained the valuable understanding. We shall now move towards the QA session. Although you have already resolved the number of queries, but for the online participants, we'll start the QA session. I would like to invite Lavaditya.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to take this opportunity first to sincerely thank our speaker, Dr. Shailene Singhal, for delivering such a comprehensive and intellectually enriching discussion on literature review methodologies and research analysis. The session highlighted that research is not merely about collecting information, but about critically examining, synthesizing, and ethically constructing knowledge. The floor is now open for any questions, discussions, or any key observations. I would request our participants offline and online for active participation. Participants joined online may kindly unmute their microphones and ask or share any doubts if they have. Do we have any questions from the participants who have joined online? I think most of the doubts that were there of all our scholars offline and online have been covered by Shailene sir with his such an enriching presentation and discussions that we had.
We can certainly give the floor to the in-person audience if you have.
Yes.
Including Lavaditya as well. Yes, please. Very good.
We talked about taking a topic that we are passionate about, and at the same time, we have to work in a stipulated time frame that we have to complete our research within that. Now, often what happens is, like we've seen in the case of the researchers who are yet to begin, we have a very broad idea to start with. And then what happens is there are multiple directions that are possible when we start with a topic which is broad. And somewhere down the line, because these larger umbrellas can also have disciplines or subparts which we might not be so passionate about, and the the panel or the guides, they can take research into that direction where the researcher maybe doesn't feel so passionate about it, yet they have to conduct their research. So I know it's not a very technical question, but if you can just guide through what kind of an approach the mindset that the researcher can take from that point.
I think first thing, Varish,
Yeah.
is that fix a time frame. That if you are starting today, you want to finish it in 3 years. Be very selfish for your time frame, for how much time you are taking for your doctoral research. Once that is fixed, then get deeper into your scoping. Your guide and your DRC can only steer your direction of your thesis and your research if you are weak on your homework. If you are not well read, I will take your thesis to that direction which I know. So be very well read. You should not be spending too much time in finalizing your topic, which is very highly likely because you are not using literature for that. Use literature to confirm the research gaps. And as I said, I'm repeating again, unlearn for what you know as gaps in practice. And all of us are so much exposed to this gap in practice that itself takes almost 6 to 8 months actually for you to unlearn that this is not, you are not doing a research project. So I'm not undermining here the value of a research project, which is very, very important for responding to the gaps in practice. But as far as the doctoral thesis is concerned, the fundamental eligibility criteria is new knowledge, that your research is contributing to new knowledge. How do you know that what you are contributing is new? Anybody? How do you find out that you are actually likely to contribute on a new knowledge?
Through literature only.
Yes. Unless you know what is already published, only then you can situate, scope, and steer your thesis in a direction to contribute to what is less published from that particular angle and perspective. Right? At the same time, just very quickly on that, while you are looking from the gaps from the existing literature, it will not explicitly mention the gap in research. This is something as you proceed in your thesis, you will carve out the gap itself. by bringing various other associated dimensions to your thesis. You can take an example. What's your area of interest?
Sir, I'm looking at urban legibility only in a way. I'm looking at image of the city in current times with mobility in viewpoint.
So the very fact that two of the scholars are doing PhD on urban legibility itself is indicating that there can be multiple ways in which the same theme can be examined. Right? And that will be important how, Varish is crafting his perspective and unique dimension of looking at the same phenomena of urban legibility against what Sandeep is doing. Any follow-up question?
I have a different question. Sir, this is related to methodology, though I have already asked this question one day earlier. So this is, the question is that, sir, what is the difference between the stark difference between a weak methodology and a good methodology? If you already
What's
seen
your name?
so many, Yogesh.
Weak methodology is what Yogesh tells us. I am doing this. I will take so many samples. It's a huge sample size, sir. That is a weak methodology. So it does not matter what Yogesh is proposing and doing. Every step in the methodology has to be well literature informed. That is one dimension. Then Yogesh, based on literature review over time on methodology only, has established one particular method that he is using for his, what is your topic?
Impact of corridor on agriculture.
Corridor on agriculture, right? That he established to examine this relationship. But a strong methodology will be that you are already also aware of what other methodological approaches could have been used to examine the same phenomena, same research inquiry, same linkages between these two broad variables, but from a different perspective. Is this helping?
Yes, indeed.
So a literature informed methodology only, and as deeper you can get into that, can only be a stronger methodology. That's the only checklist. So I would suggest that you have actually created a matrix and you have put down just now to get more tangible into how to do that actually. As that, let's say Yogesh has read 50 papers which are assisting in examining these linkages between industrial corridor and agricultural changes in the agricultural land use, right? And then Yogesh is clustering out of these 50 papers, some sub-thematic areas under which, let's say 8 to 10 papers can be clustered, put into this cluster, which is only looking at, can you give me a sub-theme on which some of your papers can be put in that cluster?
Geography can be one. Different locations can be one sub cluster, or the different regions can be.
This is the first thing that comes to our mind. Spatial differences, clustering with respect to spatial. No. Look at the thematics. It is not important. The geographical overlaps is not important. Theme is important. So let's say these 8 to 10 papers are talking on data management mainly with respect to changes in the establishment of these industrial corridors and their impact on agricultural land use. And these papers are talking in favor of and against both, relating to the significance of database. Both in favor of and against, all of them related to the sub-theme of database management I am putting under this cluster. This is one cluster, irrespective of the geographical specificity, right? So Yogesh is putting these clusters, and there are, let's say, 6 to 8 clusters that he has clustered his 50 papers into these 6 to 8 sub-thematics. One of the column in that table or the matrix is the methodological approaches that each paper is, and he's now focusing on what kind of specific methodological dimensions that particular author has employed in that paper. So you get 50 methodologies. And then he is thinking of one last column is your takeaway for your thesis, your research inquiry for each paper, right? This is assisting him in a structured approach towards thinking for his methodological approach. What would be the best way for examining this phenomena in this, now in this geographical context, now in this unique, let's say, metro cities in India or developing countries context, etc., right? So he's already exposed to 50 different or overlapping type of methodologies. That means Yogesh is well informed on the methodological approaches and their shortcomings also. One of the column can be that. This itself will lead him to have a more robust approach to his own methodology. Because when it comes to doctoral thesis, not limited to research projects, then it may or may not have established methodologies that you are adopting. Simultaneously, you are also designing your own methodology. So I just gave you an approach how to ensure that you have a more methodological robustness.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I had a question. So we talked a lot about traditional methods of research that we use in PhD. Now with the introduction of AI, I wanted to know with your experience how that is going to impact future PhDs and researchers. And what do you think is the future of PhD holders in the age of AI?
I would take it slightly differently, but my experience also is very limited to this, as everybody else. But my suggestion would be that I suggest to Varish, that reduce, we just discussed in the previous question, time frame of 3 years, right? I would suggest use AI to minimize your time frame to 2.5 years. If that is the target to start, then he will be able to use all other things kept constant. You have to have a robust methodology, use AI for that. You have to have a good quality sample size, use AI for that. Use AI to get faster exposure only, which is still a cousin brother syndrome. What does that mean? I use that with my students actually, that this is just a perception based. So what a news media article can inform you on that phenomena of, what was your topic? I forgot. Image of a city, right? So he can just use AI to get exposed to various dimensions that can be examined or that are being examined by various scholars around the world, linking to image of a city and its subsequent impact. So he can just spend 1 hour only, which would have taken a few weeks. But that is only a starting point. He is only into still a cousin brother syndrome. Only exposure. That's like leisurely bedside reading. But use that to reduce, first of all, your time frame on getting exposed to a particular phenomena and its sub-thematic areas. Likewise, use the same for getting exposed to methodological approaches. AI will throw a lot of references to you. Be careful that many of these references themselves may not be legitimate references. So at every point of stage of using AI, you should have your own checkpoints, right? So I don't see that this will create major changes in the landscape of research, but certainly it should be used for the benefit of the research team and the scholar to optimize on your time frame, to optimize on the resources that you were supposed to use to conduct that research, and also simultaneously to improve the quality in terms of getting deeper on that phenomenon. So you should be actually actively using that. But you can't quote me if there are counter arguments from your DRC. Okay. Because that is again could be based on how superficial you are in using that.
Thank you so much, sir. As we conclude today's session, for all the participants, today's discussion revolved around literature search and systematic review techniques that emphasized the importance of a structured inquiry through effective keyword selection, database exploration, inclusion criteria, and even topic identification. The session also deepened our understanding of different research approaches, particularly inductive and deductive reasoning. While deductive research tests existing theories through evidence, inductive research allows patterns and concepts to emerge from observations and literature itself. The insights on critical analysis, synthesis, and thematic analysis reminded us that literature reviews are not just summaries, but analytical processes that identify patterns, contradictions, relationships, and emerging themes within scholarly discourse, perhaps the best approach to minimize biases. The session on bibliometric analysis and research mapping also introduced valuable tools and citation networks. All in all, today's session has provided us with both methodological and critical perspectives essential for meaningful research. And on behalf of the organizing team, I extend a heartfelt thanks to the speaker and all participants for making this session highly engaging and impactful. I would like to invite on the dais our respected Dean and Director at ASAP, Dr. D.P. Singh sir, to kindly felicitate Dr. Shaleen Singhal sir.
Thank you, Shaleen sir. And I should have been speaking first before felicitation. But still, I want to extend my deep gratitude that you have found time to come to the institution for this FDP program. Certainly, the area which you have touched, it is of prime importance where the researcher starts their thesis work. And if there is a lacuna or some kind of gap in the understanding about this area, it prolongs actually the thesis work, and timelines keep extending. We have many case studies in our department as well where timelines are like extending for the PhD work. One thing, Varish, what you asked about from sir was that how this, when you take a broad area of research and while reading, many things comes across, so you do not know how to converge or diverge. And slowly, gradually, at times it moves away from your passion as well, which you started with your broad area of research. I think answer lies in itself in the entire presentation that during this convergence of the entire aspect, how you keep your passion intact. So in the last, if you remember the last slide and the last row, it specifically in the italics, it was written as a passion. So ultimately, we cannot do anything in research or add anything to the existing knowledge if we are not passionate about it, and if we are not, it's better to leave it because then only we can bring in that quality aspect, your name in that domain, that you are a good researcher. With these words, once again, thank you so much, sir, for, sorry that I am in a faculty interview, so I was keep coming and going. But probably I feel that it will, with these insights, our department will like fasten up in this area of research. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. We will now take a break for a short interval. Kindly rejoin as per the scheduled time for the next technical session. The session is basically on design thinking, innovation and research application by KK Pandey sir. So be on time around 2:10. Thank you. Yes.
तो सुबह के 4-5 लोग, शाम को 4 लोग, इतना कम से कम फिर ट्रांजिशन लिखो 5 साल तो उसमें लग जाता है यार। 14 एक दिन में रिव्यू करना ना बहुत मुश्किल है। नौ करो और एक भी सबको पैसे उतने
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the post-lunch session of the FDP, the third day of this FDP. And I am very much pleased to inform that our next speaker for today afternoon is Professor Dr. KK Pandey. He is a renowned urban finance and management expert with over 45 years of experience, more than my age. He served as a professor in Indian Institute of Public Administration for almost 18 years. Before that, he was with HUDCO as a chief economist over there for 15 years. And before that, he was with NIUA for almost 12 years. So, Pandey sir, welcome to the FDP. Thanks for joining here. Pandey sir is still active in this domain of urban finance and development economics. And his work majorly spans policy research, training module development, studies on public-private partnerships, urban finance, and he is into very much active collaboration with international organizations like UN Habitat, ADB, World Bank, and several other organizations and bilateral institutions. He is still working as a freelance infrastructure expert and senior advisor for urban finance. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. And it is always my pleasure to come to MIT here, very renowned institution. And today I will share views on research, typology, design, and survey techniques with a special context of architectural field. So we will focus on research typology, research design, sampling, data collection and analysis, framework of sampling, data collection and analysis, architectural research and focus areas. Research design as such means overall strategy or blueprint or plan used to conduct a research study outlining how data will be collected, measured and analyzed to answer research questions. So this is how design is attempted, and also a specific procedure. It is design is a specific procedure and include techniques used to identify, select, process, and analyze information on a particular theme. Whatever topic we want to study. On that topic, what is the issue? What is going to be the process? And how the information is to be collected, put, analyzed, and how to conclude on that particular issue. When we see what type of research is undertaken. One most important research is the policy research, which aims to provide feedback for acts, rules, codes, bylaws. So policy research in architectural field, can you name any policy which is linked with architecture in India? Which policy is connected to architectural follow-up? कौन सी पॉलिसी है जो आर्किटेक्चर से संबद्ध है? नेशनल हाउसिंग एंड हैबिटेट, नेशनल अर्बन हाउसिंग एंड हैबिटेट पॉलिसी, NUHHP. In which year it was prepared? 2007. In fact, I was in HUTCO and I was involved in the drafting of the policy.
After that, after that it was 7.
No, this policy was finalized except after that.
There was a draft policy also prepared, but it was not.
That was because idea was to reconsider the policy after 10 years. Initially, it was prepared in 98, then 2008, and so 2007, another 10 year. In 2017-18, they were planning, but then COVID came up. Now they are attempting. Now they are planning to modify and come up with the new housing and habitat policy. Then what are the rules and codes which are needed in the field of architecture? What are the rules?
The building bylaw.
Building bylaws. Codes, which code?
National
Building Code.
We have energy conservation building code, we have national building code, we have PWD code for physically handicapped people, and there are
Urban plan formulation and implementation.
guidelines.
That guidelines are there.
And apart from that, after that, we have different legislation and the planning also. There is Heritage Act, then Urban Sealing Act, the Acquisition Act,
Energy efficiency building code. So there are several areas where policy research is needed to prepare them and update them, because all these, as he said, acts or policies or bylaws are not fixed. They need revision over a period of time. So that requires research. So the policy research in the field of architecture involves a couple of things. Then come to action research. That how to act, how to convert the policy, transform the policy into action. And that involves feasibility studies, appraisal studies, preparation of RFP, request for proposal documents, then contracts, finally contracts. So what type of feasibility studies are needed for architecture? Which aspects are to be seen? Environmental, first, most important. economic feasibility also, economic viability. So that is action research. Also, action research includes checklists to do things, guidelines, like you mentioned, plan formulation guideline. Or there are several Government of India missions, schemes, their guidelines, SOPs, standard operating procedures, step-to-step details, and manuals. So the research is needed for a range of policy research areas and action research areas. Then important is the evaluation studies, the impact of policies and programs. So that evaluation is also done at different levels, at different schemes and programs. So this is the typology of research, which is undertaken by professionals. Then comes research design, how to design research when you initiate one research. Most important and first step is research objective or research questions, what we want to study. Second is accordingly data collection, how data is to be collected, what are the methods of data collection. Then sampling, because it is not a single unit, there are several things which are to be examined. Data collection instruments, how data is to be collected. So once data is collected, then how it can be analyzed. Time frame for each research, it can be n number of days or months to complete the research. How money will come, that is another equally important aspect. And data presentation and reporting. Finally, the draft report and final report. So there is a sequence of stages in the research design. Objectives should be smart. You must be knowing, should be specific with clarity. What we want to study. Measurable. It should not be vague. It should be with a particular focus. Then attainable. Objective should be such which can be achieved. And realistic. And finally, time bound. We have to see that the objective is fulfilled within a particular time. So objectives are smart. So the same thing, objective are to be finalized with clarity, specificity, measurability, realistic, time bound, and relevance. Next is the data collection, which involves 10 stages. First is the forms and questionnaire. As per objective, we have to prepare data collection form, data sheet or questionnaire. Questionnaire is for asking the information, data sheet is just for reporting, putting the data. Then second is the interview. Second method of data collection is interview. Third is observation, where one has to visit and see what are the different aspects of particular issue. Fourth is the documents and records, secondary information which can be collected. Fifth is the focused groups, a specific group with whom we can interact and discuss and find out what needs to be done. Sixth is the oral histories. There are several things which are not written, but which are like in ancient India, Vedas were just one was telling other and others were telling third person, third was telling to next generation. It was like that in the ancient period. So oral history is very important for several aspects. Then combination research of different aspects. Online tracking, now this is online is very important. Online marketing analysis for housing and housing design, and social media monitoring. So these are 10. Social media now is very important, very strong. But there is another 11th thing which has come now, which is very important and which is affecting entire, what is that? AI. But people say AI will not have too much impact on architecture because AI does not provide a final output. Personal judgment would be needed for a house, how it is to be done. And so AI is there, useful, but AI is helping, complementary to architect, not a replacement of architect. So these 10 or 11 areas of stages of data collection methods. Then come to sampling. Sampling is another important area. Like rice, we boil rice. How do we check the rice is boiled or not? We have to take one rice. Or if it is in the pot, you have rice or brinjal or potato or onion or several things, then what will happen? You can't take one. So depending upon the requirement, you can take one or you have to select under different categories from the whole census. So sampling is like soup. In this case, we do not drink the whole pot to taste the soup. To assess if pot of soup is salty, one has, how do you know that it is salt is put or not, or salt is enough or not? You have to just take a small one, single spoonful, and you can find salt is okay or not. Or the pot is the population. So in this case, in our case, pot is the overall census and spoon is the sample. So this is how sample and census is there for us to do sampling. Therefore, sampling is the process of selecting a subject of individuals or units from a larger census, larger population, to estimate the characteristic of entire group. So the population is the complete set of items or people under the study. For example, all houses in a city. That is their population. Sample the smaller group actually observed or interviewed. So in case of housing, all houses in a city, then what will you do? Typology of housing. You will select typology and then choose some of them. So sampling frame is a list of map from which the sample is drawn. That is settlement pattern in a city. So in a city housing scenario, what type of settlement typology is there? Which type of settlements are there?
In housing?
Core city area, row housing, individual housing, plotted development, flats, slums, group. So there could be a list of housing types.
It can be high-rise.
High-rise, low-rise.
High density, low-rise.
Exactly. So there could be several, but you have to pick up, identify typology and then pick up sample for study. So identify typology of settlement. So why sampling is done? Because it is cost effective and time effective. It is done with less cost and less time. Cost efficiency is collecting a full census is incredibly expensive. If you take all houses in a city, you need to pay millions of rupees for this study. So sampling is cost effective. It requires hiring thousands of enumerators, printing millions of forms, and massive logistic arrangements for entire census. And sampling allows researchers to get high quality results at a fraction of cost because your size is small. Then time efficiency means data collection, analysis takes months and years for the whole census. And in policy making, decisions often need to be taken in months or weeks. So we can't wait for the policy making to do entire census for particular policy feedback. There we have to depend on sampling. So sampling provides timely insights that allow for real-time adjustment to social programs or economic shifts. So for the policies, or in a city, suppose you are chief architect planner and you have to design housing units for low income. So you will not survey the entire population. You have to pick up a few. Because you have limited time. Why sampling? Because it has greater depth and accuracy. A sample can sometimes be more accurate than a census. Because census will give a wider range of options. And there can be mistakes in the conclusion. So, more highly trained staff more complex and detailed questionnaire, supervision and quality control of data entry are much tighter, reducing non-sampling errors. So in case of census, these problems are there. And in some fields, sampling is the only way to get data. If a company wants to test the life of its light bulbs or the crash safety of its cars, it cannot test every single unit because the testing process destroys the product. So sampling is the only answer for professional follow-up. For many populations or census is physically impossible. One cannot count every fish in the Indian Ocean or every microbe in soil sample. You must rely on representative samples to draw conclusions. So how sampling is done? Representative sample. You have to find a particular thing like rice and then draw conclusion. For sampling to work, sample must be representative. You should have idea, you should cover the entire typology for sampling. That is important. The types of sampling, there are two types. Probability sampling, that is scientific. These methods are the gold standard. They are called gold standard for policy making or decision making and large scale surveys. They allow for the calculation of sampling error and produce unwise results. So probability sampling, or second is the non-probability. These are faster and cheaper, but cannot be used for used to make statistically valid generalization about the entire population. So it depends. In most cases, probability sampling is done, but non-probability is also taken up in rare cases wherever quick decision is needed. So the probability sampling is scientific standards. Every member of the population has a non-zero chance of selection. Everybody has to be selected. Key methods are simple random, like one from this class, another from this class, third from the other class, or stratified sampling, that you one from one row, another from second row, another from third row. So use like NSSO surveys and policy making allow calculation of margins of error. So in the NSSO, they do not cover the entire census. They take sampling. On non-probability sampling is selection is based on judgment, convenience or availability. This method is like male intercepts or snowball referrals quota. So risk high bias and result cannot be generalized to nation. So probability sampling is better. For national policy, we rely on probability sampling to ensure representativeness. So probability sampling with random is must to have representation from different stakeholders. So simple random sampling is every individual is chosen entirely by chance. It is like drawing name out of hat. This is simple random. Best for a small homogeneous population where a complete list of everyone is available. So there the simple random sampling is feasible, and stratified random is the population is divided into homogeneous subgroups and based on shared characteristics like age, income, gender, and education. We have entire population. Then in the age group of 20 to 40, 40 to 60, or income slabs, or gender, or education level, high school, graduate, or PG, or doctorate. So the random sample is then taken from each stratum. There also random is done, but after dividing the census into parts. That is stratified. First random in general. So also probability sampling is cluster sampling. Has cluster sampling, that is population is divided into clusters based on geographically like districts or villages or neighborhoods. One or more clusters are randomly selected and survey everyone with those clusters. So within the cluster, there are several clusters, select one cluster and then survey everyone. So this is cluster sampling. And another is, this is best for large geographical spread out populations where contacting single location is too expensive. Second is systematic sampling. Here individuals are selected at regular intervals. For example, every 10th or 20th, whatever we decide. So this is best for quality control in factories or surveys people in a physical queue. Non-probability sampling, samples are collected from people who are easier to reach. For example, surveying people standing outside a shopping mall there and then select them. Or a result cannot be generalized as it reflects only the people who happen to be there at that time. So that is convenience sampling. Or quota sampling similar to stratified sampling, but the selection within the group is not random. In stratified, selection is random within that, but here selection also is specific. The research simply keeps survey until they hit a specific number, quota, for each category. So these two sampling methods are there in the non-probability sampling. Another is the snowball sampling. Exist participants recruit future participants from among the acquaintances. Best for hidden or hard to reach rare population, such as victims of rare disease, members of underground subcultures. So specific, suppose health surveys are to be done, then this snowball or judgmental sampling. Here a researcher use expertise to select a sample that is most useful for the specific goal of the study. Suppose house, you have to select a house which is in the completely dilapidated structure in a slum. Then you see how the people's life is affected while living in that house. So it is on judgment of the researcher. So suppose we have option probability and non-probability. So which one is to be selected? Selection, random selection is objective, or convenience selection is subjective. Bias in probability sampling, the bias is low, or non-probability, it is high. Cost, probability sampling expensive,
and non-probability is cheap and fast. And goal generalized to the whole population, probability, and non-probability is exploratory or pilot studies. So these are the two methods with their characteristics in terms of selection, bias, cost, and speed and goal. And research methods are quantitative and qualitative and mixed. Quantitative is surveys, sensor data to measure, quantify variables like AQI. We have AQI of Delhi today and tomorrow. And so that is quantitative. Qualitative is through interviews, focused group discussions, and observations. So these two, and third is the mixed of the two. So in our research, when we do architectural research, we need a combination of all the three: quantitative, qualitative, and mixed. What is the quantitative research in architecture? Can you give example? जी? हाँ, group size. हाँ, yes. So, and qualitative is the interview with the municipal officers, the residents, NGOs, all stakeholders. That's it. So then comes the data collection. How data is to be collected? One is the survey. Second, interviews. When we interview people, go to the site and talk to them, then it would be a structured interview. We write the question and ask them, or open-ending, that what is your opinion about this? Then you have to write and quantify later those answers. Next is the focused group discussions. Focus group, women in the settlement, or children, or if some shops are there, shopkeepers. Then observations. For observations, we have to prepare checklist first. Then only what to observe and how to observe. We have to determine what to observe and how to observe. And next is the digital forms. We have to pick up website of, suppose, municipal bodies, now cities websites are there. From the city website, you can know the building license permission, whether it is online or offline. Or if online, then what are the parameters of building license permissions in cities? Portals. So digital forms are now available. That is another method of data collection. And secondary sources. What could be secondary sources? Reports, histories, acts, documents. Yeah. कोई नहीं मैं Yeah. Yeah, next. No, no. Next. Yes. Then data analysis. Once we collect data, we have to analyze in terms of quantitative, that is numerical data, or qualitative, where content, narrative, or thematic aspects are there. So we have two types of data which we can take up for analysis. But before that, we have to do consistency check of the data. That it is not that father's age is 40 years and son's age is 30. So that consistency has to be checked. Trends and relationship of the data, chi-square test, the statistical tools, and 2-dimension, 3-dimension data. And we have to test hypothesis also. Because in research, we have to decide what we have to study. So we have to select 2 or 3 hypotheses for the research, and that is, will be tested. And predictive inferences, that what it will lead, whatever data we have done, whatever analysis is coming, what will it mean for the context. Then come the time frame or schedule period. Once we do this exercise in the research, we have to prepare inception report. When we do research, first the inception report, which means what we are going to do in the study. Then questionnaire or data sheet will also be part of the inception report. So the inception report would be strategy, questionnaire, data. Then comes the data collection. Third stage is data processing. Then data analysis. After that, interim report. We prepare interim report so that gaps are identified and more data can be collected if needed to fill the gaps. And finally, the draft report and final report. So this is the process of time frame and schedule of the research period. Then research, it is very important. Research could be individual or could be institutional. Institutional research would be from the suppose Amity University or municipal corporation or the state government Department of Architecture. So there could be institutions for which you have to do the research. That research would be more systematic and more time consuming, more money is required to do that. Individual research is largely quick and can be also done through observations and alternative methods of research. Third is sponsored research. Suppose you are in some university teaching, some organization is sponsored, and then you take up that research from given by the Delhi government or by the municipal corporation or by some other international agency. Then finalization of the research for policy, planning, design, etc. So these are different aspects of research. Architectural research from this sequence, whatever we have seen, is identified. Urban design. What are the focus of architectural research? Urban design. Urban design means density of the town. Infrastructure, level of infrastructure, circulation network, built environment that is optoclenditure and epistemological in nature, that is origin and limits. First is the reality based and second is the limited. That is built environmental. Sustainability is the third aspect, which is very important now in terms of UN Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainability is highly important. Technology used in architecture, that is another area. And human behavior is also linked to architecture. What type of room we need, how to manage within less space and optimum use of available space in the house. So these type of aspects are studied in architectural research. So this is a theory, problem and methods. Scientific journal, books, internet, archives are there to go through the information, concepts, models and ideas, conclusions are drawn, data, tools, statistics and origin. So this is the architectural research design. Next. Here, qualitative focus on experiences and perspectives, methods, interviews, observations, etc. And another is the quantitative and mixed research. We have already deliberated on this. Next. So focus areas of architectural research are climate responsive design, because it is now even more important with the changing climate, advanced material, affordable housing, which is very important, that house built should be within the reach of the people and with minimum comforts. Digital fabrication, post-occupancy feedback and correction, and bridging gap in design theory and technology. So these are the key focus areas of architectural research. Next. It can be expanded or not?
ये slide नहीं हो रहा.
Can be tracked? No. Drag हो जाए. हाँ ठीक है. Yes. No, and let it be like this. No issue. So
इसको copy paste कर दो.
ऐसे करना. Let it be like this.
एक सेकंड.
Yes. Good. So climate specific design strategies include cold, hot and humid, hot and dry, and temperature. Cold में architectural goals plan measures. Here the focus should be on minimize heat loss and maximize winter sun access to the house. Massing compact block, minimal surface area, air locks. So these are different aspects of cold, hot and humid, hot and dry, and temperature. These aspects are to be taken while designing house. Even in the NCR where we live, now the climatic cycle is changing. You must have seen the hot days are now not so long. The climate in Delhi, you see after a week or 10 days you have rainfall. So it is changing. So you have to prepare for that. Architects have to prepare for changing climate scenario. Next. Yes. So now we do one small exercise. You have to count 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So there are three groups. One is affordable housing. Second is core city redevelopment. And third is placemaking in the city. So what we have to do, identify parameters for data collection. If you have to do research, each group has to write just 5 points and make a presentation in the class. So you can sit in 3 groups of 5 minutes, write 5 points and group 1.
Yes, sir.
Two.
Core city.
And 3.
Excuse me. Mic on it? So those participants who joined online, kindly put the points on the chat box with your name. Thank you. You all have to identify the parameters for the data collection on these 3 groups: affordable housing, core city redevelopment, and placemaking.
ये तो हम करेंगे ना, अभी तो पहला टास्क इसमें डेटा कलेक्शन अफोर्डेबल हाउसेस में जब सर्वे कर रहे हैं अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग के लिए उसके पैरामीटर ये डेटा कलेक्शन बेसिकली इट कैन जैसे डेटा कलेक्शन सेकेंडरी एंड प्राइमरी है और सेकेंडरी से हम क्या निकालेंगे पॉलिसी फ्रेमवर्क है ना पॉलिसी फ्रेमवर्क हुआ और क्या निकालेंगे एग्जिस्टिंग पॉलिसी फ्रेमवर्क के अलावा रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क है ना रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क ऑफ द अथॉरिटी और क्या वो कोई प्रोजेक्ट या प्रपोज प्रोजेक्ट्स है ना प्रोजेक्ट्स एंड टारगेट्स ये हमें पता होने चाहिए है ना और क्या मिलना चाहिए हमको सेकेंडरी से जो आप कह रहे थे प्राइमरी नहीं सेकेंड डेटा कलेक्शन प्राइमरी नहीं लिखा है इट्स जस्ट डेटा कलेक्शन अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग से रिलेटेड तो इसमें मैंने
Sir, one of the participants mentioned lack of construction cost and income for a cost. Affordable housing.
Can mention, you can share with them.
Stakeholders
We have completed for base making. You have done?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Sir, we have done.
So let them also do. So हो गया आपका? So we will ask group 1 first, second, then third, and after that you will read the participants, online part. अभी आपका हो गया complete? ये चल रहा है अभी, कितना टाइम लगेगा? 2 मिनट, चलिए 2 मिनट.
So, one by one, you are supposed to open your camera and speak on the mic. Who is Mr. Camera open करो.
So we can start now? We can start now? So group 1,
I think
group 1 first.
we might be group 2, but the topic that we are covering is core city redevelopment. So, well, sir, it will be a case scenario based that on what aspect the city redevelopment is taking place. But otherwise, on a generic basis, if we want to decide on the parameters for the core city development, then it will be, broadly speaking, it will be first a morphological analysis. Morphological means about the form and the physical aspects. That will be the first parameter. Then there will be socio-economic profile. Then there will be the heritage and cultural context on that parameter. Apart from that, the next would be infrastructure and services. And then there will be environmental conditions. And we have also added a 6th point, which could be policy and regulatory frameworks. On these broader, we can further devise more parameters for. So let's say if the research is more oriented towards one of these aspects, let's say if it is morphological, then there can be another set of parameters within that. Like for example, when we talk about morphology, then there can be grain, texture, building heights, street widths, and likewise. And within that also, again, further divisions are possible.
So suppose you have prepared a project in this. In the current situation, what can you do?
Sir,
which scheme or program you can apply in the our country? अभी जो चल रहे हैं स्कीम, इसमें कौन सा स्कीम या प्रोग्राम आप ले सकते हैं इसमें?
Sir,
which can, suppose you are in a municipal office, so you can access which government scheme?
Yeah. Yes. Like if it look at our local example, otherwise there are smart city initiatives which are at larger level, but at local level also, they like if we take the case of Noida Authority, infrastructure development and upgradation of the infrastructure has been one such thing. So if we go in that direction, like amenities like public toilets.
अमृत और कोई?
Sanitation के अंदर सर कुछ programs हैं, which will also.
But there is one comprehensive scheme also which can cover all whatever you are saying.
Smart city.
Is smart city.
Not smart city.
Urban
JNNURM.
Urban Challenge Fund.
Urban Challenge.
It has creative redevelopment projects. Under that category, you can take up comprehensive redevelopment of one particular area. It is just recently it has been finalized.
Yes.
Huh? Huh.
It's for 5 years. It's for 5 to 26 to 31.
Good, but.
Noted, sir. Thank you, sir.
Group 2. You are affordable housing. अच्छा हाँ बताइए. आप लिख लीजिए these points, whatever would be useful.
Good afternoon. So our topic was affordable housing. And as far as the data collection strategy goes, actually, a lot of our data would emerge from secondary sources because affordable housing, before we go on to the projects, has to do with the analysis of the existing policy and regulatory frameworks to understand the gaps in affordable housing. Existing policy framework and regulatory frameworks, which would include the local building bylaws and what are the affordable housing parameters. Then, of course, looking at the supply and demand gaps, which are done by agencies to check whether affordable housing for a particular place or a city is being successful or not, and what are the problems that they are facing. Because affordability is actually an optimum intersection of the cost as well as the optimum use size. Then there can be a household survey to understand people's perceptions towards this. And one parameter has to do with how to make construction affordable, which has to do with maybe construction strategies or construction techniques which bring down the cost to make any housing affordable. And there can be also a survey of the professionals and the officials who are of that particular region to understand what is the professional and official observations regarding affordable housing development for any region. So our study then balances both actually secondary data collection and part of it which is perception based from primary data collection, which guides us to help us to strengthen the observations from secondary data. Since
Anybody else can add or comment on this?
Sir, if we, as you already, asked the question related to national scheme or state schemes for this. So for affordable housing, the schemes can be, under which the development can be done is basically the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban and Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Rural.
Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana and also a rental housing scheme. That is another.
Yes, sir.
Other than Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana,
Yes.
there is one rental housing.
Sir, there are a few critical gaps which I recall from workshop that I was doing last year. That was the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana at rural and urban scale have a standard template of doing despite being of different context and different geography in India, pan of India, the scheme only, praises and have the standard template of housing that is pakka, the concrete housing. So there should be some kind of, context based housing template needs to be there.
Yes, context based is a very important aspect. And there could be reconstruction, redevelopment. Those were.
One is development. Another is development. I could remember the exam name, which is in partnership with the private parties. And in the partnership with the private parties, there are again two types of things. One is which is being followed in Delhi, say 60% of the land is become very for plant dwellers, they will be, and the 40% or maybe 30% given to them for their regulatory projects like commercial and private categories. So that is being followed here. But in a place like Bombay, the same model is being used in a different way. That is the transferable
TDR.
Development right. TDR.
That means they will be developing a whole 100% of that land as rehabilitation, and an additional area of 1 or 1.5 given or there are some ongoing projects somewhere else. That is the. So I think we should clear for them. Third group.
Sir, our group was placemaking. So, apart from the secondary data, which ranges from the land use data, like including master plan, the policy document of master plan, as well as other policy and guidelines at urban level, like TOD guidelines or any other guideline which is applicable in that particular area where placemaking has to take place. Other than this, secondary data would be related to demographics, including population details, their occupational pattern, and so on. Then, apart from this, there would be primary data like types of activities happening over there, their timings and their occurrence. Then, property value and land value, people's perception about that area and their demands. How do they perceive that area where placemaking has to be done? Then availability of infrastructure, public infrastructure, the street furniture, may be availability of light, surface, street width, and so on and so forth. And then the data of the built form, how high the buildings are, what is the condition of the buildings in the surroundings. So, these are 6-7 typologies which we have mentioned.
Dead spaces in the settlement?
Sorry, sir?
Dead spaces.
Yes.
Dead.
Yes, sir. So that will come under the quality of the built form,
Quality of
whether
the-
it's built or unbuilt.
Suppose behind the flyover, below the flyover,
Yes, sir.
or some roads which nobody, some part of the street, nobody goes in that side.
Yes, sir.
Or some part which are just center of garbage, how to, we can clean that.
Yes, sir. So in type of activities, all these things will be noted down, that what is the activity and where and how it is happening. So there must be some slum dwellers living nearby, must be some squatters below the flyover if flyover is there.
Parks, development of the parks.
Yes, sir. Open
From the
areas.
dead space.
Yes, sir. Then condition of infrastructure, including the drainage, the quality of surface, pakka, kacha, paved, unpaved. So all those things will be part of it.
So some participants also have standpoints, which Snigdhaji will read out. Yeah, sorry, he has some point to make.
I just wanted to
Add.
add to the placemaking topic that was just discussed. I think the point that were made, of course, they contribute to the collection of data, but as per my understanding, placemaking is also something which has to do with the experience quality of the user. And in that sense, this kind of research will become very qualitative also in nature. Parameters like comfort, happiness, or what kind of experience that people go through makes a place more memorable or contributes to placemaking. So case study based methodologies and data collection, not on just on the quantity basis, but measurables of certain qualitative aspects becomes more important in this case. That's all I wanted to say.
Also like footpath. Is the footpath available? Suppose it said encroachment on the public land, is public spaces is another important area.
So I guess Parvati is there. You can open your, you can unmute yourself and speak if you want to. Rushali, Parvati.
I made point for affordable housing as per the parameter. In this, I choose housing unit, like these are affordable.
Parvati, can you be a little louder?
Obviously. Am I audible now? Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
So I have chosen first point, that is affordable housing. For the, am I audible?
Yes.
Huh. So for that, making the for the parameters, I just jot down like housing unit, in which I have given the name as EWS, मतलब economical weaker section हो गया, या फिर lower income group हो गया, because we are just considering the affordable housing. So for the people, the users for which we are going to do. So the second one is the operational cost. So what will be the cost for the electricity or the water or such things? So how we are going to utilize that? And there will be before that, like ma'am has said before, that survey. So we will survey out the demography, the GDP and all as per that. These few points which I have jotted down. Thank you.
Any comment on our points? E-to-work and low income, but middle and high income also have a question of affordable house. Affordable means you can buy. Yes. So not only the poor man's house, even the HIV for him also affordability, there is some limit of affordability.
Next, Roshali. You there? So Roshali mentioned, can you unmute yourself and speak? Okay, unable to unmute. Sure. She's gone. Okay, so Roshali mentioned users, age group, socio-culture factors, environmental quality, safety. This is for the placemaking. Huh. Users, age groups, socio-culture factors, environmental quality, safety.
Environmental quality and safety.
Hmm.
Safety is very important, particularly for women,
Hmm.
children, and physically handicapped.
Yes.
Eligible. On the roads, they are the impact class. So that is a very important aspect. And like in this redevelopment, very important area is which we are going to focus in the years to come is the economic potential of more city area. It has been underutilized in the current form of building. So how can we redevelop? How we can make space for economic high high level economic activities like this IT and other sectors within the core city. So that is another important area. And I think it's always better to plan and leverage that area. Otherwise, the squatters have to come somewhere or other. They will come over, they will encroach that space. So it's better to plan that and leverage that. Maybe the stalls or something that area for plan. And you have to decide whether to accommodate this squatters there only. Yes, in situ or in situ or so it can be reconstruction or could be redevelopment. Redevelopment will include space for other people. Yes. In addition to the existing dweller, some space for economic activity. So this is the core city area, it has the advantage of land value gain. It has competitive edge. There, economies of scale are there in their size. When the area near ITO, there used to be mushrooming of those small shops. So 10-15 years ago, all those shops were fertilized. So like same at INA market also. Like they are now regularizing all 311, 1511 unpacked properties in Delhi. Yes. On air is there in basic. Yes. So, but what we do after that? After regularization, we have to see that particular circulation space is there. Suppose some fire incident is there, no fire agent should reach off at that side. So like that, there are several in the port city.
Sir, I just want to add on that there is also a need of clear-cut monitoring and stopping this mushrooming of unauthorized colonies. Otherwise, developing a slum or developing an unauthorized actually of getting regularized in future. So it should be stopped. If there are 11 colonies, then there should not be more 12 colonies. There could be one day in Bangalore there. They have made it compulsory to have online registration of all property. And when properties are registered, they are given B khata. The status B khata means not regular. To convert that from B to A, you have to take municipal permission. You have to pay some fee if unauthorized area is covered by the building. So that is very important. And they are expecting more than 200 crore this year from that conversion of B khata to A khata. Because B khata is not good enough to get electricity connection, water connection, and other necessary approvals. So there are several things emerging. That can also be connected to the Aadhaar cards, the PAN cards. If such things are not in place, then the documents should also be not issued. So when architects go, your residents go to field, they have to do research and different aspects. So thank you very much. So kind of you for the appearance. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to sincerely thank Dr. K.K. Pandey, sir, for presenting such a comprehensive understanding of research techniques, methods, and approaches. The floor is also now open for any questions or any discussions if we have amongst participants who are here in a physical mode and also online. It is requested participants who have joined online to kindly switch on their microphones and ask the questions or any points of discussions with sir.
Now, maybe first, second slide, you are discussing about the objectives. What should be the quality of the objective, search objective? Quality of the objectives. Objective of study. Yeah, you have one slide on objectives. So there, what should be the quality of objectives you mentioned? So in one point you mentioned it should be measurable. Objective. Yeah, but I don't think that all objectives can be measurable. I mean, not all objectives can be measurable.
See, objective, when you write objective, it's in one sentence, it should be one objective. If you write two objectives, that is confusing. So it should be one objective. And measurable means what you are going to study in that objective, that should be clearly specified. No, not measurable. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any more questions?
Sir, in the same slide where you had that smart as the attributes of objectives. In the third point, you had mentioned attainable, that is achievable, the same. And you said that it has to be relevance also. From my point of view, I think the relevance is a kind of inherent attribute of an objective. If it is not relevant, it cannot be objective. Yeah. Isn't it? So it cannot be the attribute of objective, it has to be inherent property of the objective itself.
No, actually, the word used is relevance. Relevance, not relevant. So what is the relevance? How the objective is relevant? That you should be clear.
Okay.
It is relevance. The word is relevance.
Okay.
What is the relevance of that? As you said, it has to be relevant. Then how it is relevant? What are the features of that relevant?
Thank you so much, sir.
Any online participants? You can drop a message as well if you are not able to unmute yourself. I guess all the doubts are clear.
Thank you so much, ma'am. As we move to the conclusion of today's FDP, I would like to highlight that today's session effectively told us about the research, that it is not merely theoretical, but a tool for developing actionable solutions, informed policies, and meaningful social interventions. Through the discussion on human-centered approach, we understood the importance of empathy, observation, and iterative problem solving in creating impactful research outcomes. One of the most valuable takeaways was the emphasis on typology of problems and objective formulation. The session clearly demonstrated that research objectives must be precise, measurable, and aligned with the scope and methodology of the study. We also gained clarity on different research approaches such as exploratory, evaluative, policy-based, and action-oriented studies, and how each contributes differently to knowledge generation and implementation. The explanation of data collection methods and levels of inquiry was very impactful and insightful, sir. The discussion on primary and secondary data, qualitative, quantitative techniques, surveys, observation, interviews, and case-based analysis highlighted the importance of selecting appropriate methods to ensure validity and reliability in research. The session further moved into fruitful discussions, exercises of how research findings can be translated into real-world applications. On behalf of the organizing team, I extend a heartfelt thanks to Sir and all participants for making today's session truly enriching and impactful. I would now like to request Dr. Ritabrata Ghosh, Professor, Amity School of Architecture and Planning, to kindly felicitate our speaker.
Later, actually, he used to be my senior colleague in Natco. So I remember those days when we used to come for training, really, and he used to give us lectures like this. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you all, and we will be interacting. Thank you, sir.
Just a second. Yeah, conclude the remark. Conclude remark then. Just a minute. So as we conclude the day 3 of the faculty development program, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to all the esteemed speakers, participants for their active involvement and valuable contributions throughout the session. Today's discussion on literature review, sampling method research, data collections have provided meaningful insights into the evolving dimensions to the architectural research. The session emphasized the importance of critical analysis and innovative approaches to developing impactful research outcome. We are thankful to our distinguished resource person for physical presence and sharing their expertise, experiences, and practical perspectives, which have gratefully enriched the learning experience of all the participants. I would also like to appreciate the participants of the faculty members and all the scholars and attendees who joined online for the engagement and interaction, made the session highly productive and insightful. We hope that today's deliberation will encourage all the participants to explore new research possibilities and strengthen the academic inquiry and translate innovative ideas into a meaningful contribution to the architectural and built environment. Thank you once again for the presence and participation. We look forward to welcome you all tomorrow for another enriching session, day of learning and discussion. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.